When we stay in places where we don't belong, when we find out that we really don't belong there, that we shouldn't be there, that doesn't only harm us, that also harms the other person, that also harms everybody in the creation. That's literally like a stopping your own growth, because it's like internally, you know, internally we always know when we should move, when it is enough, when we should go. But what is the thing? We think that we can take others with us, but we can't. Some don't even want to be taken. Some just are comfortable where they are. Just don't want to change at all, don't want to move at all. Why we overstay even when we know we have to go? What is that? Maybe it's because the lesson haven't been taught yet. We haven't learned our lessons. And you know what happens when that happens? When we overstay, when we should when we should leave, but we end up staying. You know what happened? We end up getting hurt. We end up getting hurt over and over and over and over again. That's literally like a signal to our body telling us like, hey buddy, like, for how long more you wanna keep doing this? Like, this is not healthy. Like, let's move. So that's sort of like a connection with your internal being, because our soul is not, it's not gonna talk to us like a, paying attention to our body. It's like how our soul communicates with us, sort of like telling us to what to pay attention. From what chakra are we feeling the most? Exactly are we feeling? What we should do next? Everything at the bottom line, it comes from a wound, from from our childhood. Because it's like, if we know, let's say we know that something is harmful, that something is toxic, that something is draining us, that something is making our life some way somehow complicated, why we allow it? Why we still keep participating? Why we just withdraw? Why we just don't step out, step back? Why we don't try to look at things from a different point of view? Why we overstay? When we overstay, we harm ourselves the most, especially when we already know that we are overstaying, that we already know that we should move, that we already know that we are being harmed, that we already know that we are being disrespected. Why we are staying? We only harming our soul. We only stopping our growth. And also stopping the other person growth. Because there is a lesson there to learn, not just for ourselves, but also for the other part. What lesson? Well, I guess that's the other side to figure that out. But I guess us humans, we tend to get attached to things. We tend to get attached to things that a lot of times none of those things serve us in any kind of way, shape, or form. They just don't serve us at all. And Sometimes, sometimes you probably even wonder yourself, why am I allowing this? How am I doing this even if I don't like it? Why I keep doing this even though I shouldn't be doing? First, ask to yourself, what are your surroundings? How do you spend your time off? What kind of conversations do you have? What kind of thinking patterns do you have? And start from there. It's sort of like breaking a cycle. Like you think you're moving, you think you're going somewhere. You think that you're moving, you think that you're going somewhere. But you're like in a hamster wheel, running and running so fast and not even moving an inch. Because, of course, we are meant to evolve in any kind of ways and forms. But about what about our soul? How are we evolutionating? Like going levels after levels with our soul, sort of like a Pokemon. Transform, transform, transform. It can do this thing, then it can do another thing. Like, what kind of training? What kind of discipline? What kind of work? What kind of things we should be practicing? Like the same way that we're practicing hygiene and care with our body, the way we look, the effort that we put into things. But do we put actually that same effort or at least a little bit in our soul and our energy? How to grow it, how to make it pretty and pretty all the time. How to make it pretty and pretty all the time. How to make it expand. How to grow. How to be deeply rooted in ourselves. How we can be 100% trusting in ourselves with no doubt. What kind of wounds should we heal from our childhood? What kind of traumas should we be working on? What kind of way can we enrich ourselves? Sometimes we look at things outside and we blame everything other than ourselves. We think the problem is outside, everywhere, and on anybody other than our own selves. And that goes back to overstaying. When you overstaying in situation, places, conversation, thoughts, patterns, you are you're stopping your growth, because it's like on a soul level, you know that you are doing something wrong. You know that you should change something. That you know that you should have a try to adapt a different behavior kind of pattern. Trying to switch things that you know that on a soul level that you don't like to do certain things but you still do it. Why is that? Lack of auto analysis. That should go inward instead of outward. That you should sit with the demons instead of look for distractions. What do you think it is? Well, as I say, if you are comfortable in the comfort zone, maybe you are perfectly fine. But there are others that always look outside the box, always want to improve certain things, always want to know the why and the this and the why and that. Because there is a curiosity from the soul that spike up, that wants to know that wants to be rich, that wants to be rich energetically from some way, somehow, sort of like detaching from unnecessary things, sort of like dropping bags, dropping bags not necessary to carry, sort of something like that. But I'm saying this because there is a strong energy, collective energy of people staying in places that they know they shouldn't be in, that they know that they're harm for them, but that for some reason they're still there. Have been to stuff like that. Things happen, but collectively, I feel that like it's a lot of people are in places that they shouldn't be in. Like if a lot of people are stopping their own growth when they know that they deserve better and they know that they can do better, but they are for some reason like stuck in this loophole that they cannot get out, and it's sort of like a attachment condition, deeply wound, a false a false program. Thank you guys for watching. See you until the next video. Bye.